And good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Trib Live Radio Morning Show. Josh Taylor with you here at studio, joined by Kevin Gorman. And Kevin, if you were paying attention on the wire last night or even on social media, we find some news Steeler-related, and it kind of pops up in the middle of a lot of what's been discussed in the past couple months or so. But if you look at today's Trib, you see this nice little story here. NFL gives Harrison ultimatum. That's not what you want to hear if you're the Steelers right now, considering the fact that we know this investigation dating to the Al Jazeera report that was first, I believe it was reported back in December, about James Harrison and I believe it was 4 other NFL players receiving whether performance-enhancing drugs, just even as much as human growth hormone from a clinic, I believe it was Indiana. So there has been a lot of investigation into it. We know there's been a lot of back and forth. There's been a big game of chicken going on between the NFL and the NFLPA. So now we get to the point where the NFL is kind of laying its foot down and saying, well, we need you to come in for an interview or we're going to suspend you by the end of August.
Yeah, it's kind of like Roger Goodell has pulled an Eric Cartman and said, you will respect my authority. It's
the best South Park reference ever.
To throw out a South Park reference. No, it's, what this has come down to is that the NFL and the NFLPA are having a little pissing match, so to speak. And,
absolutely.
And really what this comes down to, if you read the USA Today story, that James Harrison, none other than James Harrison, tweeted out, basically saying, just reporting the news.
Which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, that he repeated, he retweeted a story about him saying why he would be suspended. Part of it is the NFLPA has taken a hardline stance against the NFL in this case, basically saying, here's our statements, this is all we're giving you. And the NFL is saying, no, we want to have a full interview and investigation, and we're expecting your cooperation. And what's really hurt the NFLPA's case is that one of the players that is under suspicion here, that is, and when I say under suspicion, I mean was mentioned in this Al Jazeera report,
correct,
called The Dark Side, if you recall, where Charlie Sly, who worked at an anti-aging clinic, just casually name-dropped a handful of players, including Peyton Manning, most prominently. Peyton Manning and his wife, where they were saying that they mailed products, and I believe it was HGH, to the Mannings. It was supposedly under the name of Peyton Manning's wife. Manning and his wife have cooperated with the NFL, even though he's retired. Apparently, they've said, okay, here's what you need to know, and we're going full disclosure with you. Michael Neal, the former Green Bay Packer, did not. And his statement said, and this is where it really gets interesting, he made a statement to the NFL that said he had never violated the league's policy on performance-enhancing drugs before, even though he was suspended for an infraction in 2012. So this is where the NFL said, these statements include, and I'm quoting here, an assertion that is demonstrably false. So now you can't hide behind the NFLPA in a statement when they've already lied to the NFL, at least in the view of the NFL. And here you're talking about James Harrison, a guy who is as beloved a Steeler as perhaps there is on this roster, dating back to his days when he body slammed a fan who ran onto the field in Cleveland.
Yes, indeed.
Dating to him being an all-pro performer, a former, I believe, defensive player
of the year.
And also the player who made perhaps arguably the greatest play in Super Bowl history. I would argue
definitely the best defensive play. Definitely.
I would argue that it was the greatest play in Super Bowl history. It was a team-oriented play. It was not as much of an individual impact as maybe David Tyree's catch or Santonio Holmes's catch, or you can go down the line with all these great plays that have happened. But in terms of a single feat, that 100-yard interception return as time expired, where had he not scored a touchdown, and it ended up being really the deciding points in the Super Bowl victory in Super Bowl 43 for the Steelers over the Cardinals, had he not scored, it would have been a completely meaningless play.
Game.
But he got in the end zone.
Now, outside of Mike Neal, Peyton Manning, and James Harrison, there's also 2 other current Green Bay Packers. Clay Matthews is wrapped up in this. Julius Peppers is wrapped up in this. So we're talking about a handful of players here who are being told, hey, you have to come in and interview or you're going to be suspended. So this does, involve not just James Harrison. This involves another team as well. So this is definitely something that is And it looks like the NFLPA is at least trying to fight this tooth and nail, and a lot of it could be this could go a lot further. We've already seen the precedent for how far these things can go with Deflategate, but we will continue to at least try to find this information as much and get it to you here on Trib Live Radio.